All right, so for this video, I'm going to talk about learned helplessness in this sort of soul trap, right? In the prison planet, in the hell realm, right? And what inspired me to make this video is I saw this other video by this lady who talked about how suffering doesn't make you stronger, it makes you obedient, right? And I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about learned helplessness. And if you don't know what learned helplessness is, it's basically it comes from this experiment that they did with dogs or puppies, right? Where what they would do is they would have one group of dogs that would have they would be in like one box, right? So I'll use like these decks of cards as examples, right? Like they'll be in like one box, right? And this box will like shock them, and they have like another box to jump to where they won't be shocked, right? So that's group number one. Group number two is that they have a puppy right here that gets shocked, and then they jump into the other box and they get shocked, right? And so this happens like over and over. So that's group number two, right? And the thing about this experiment is that they found out that the dogs in group one, where like they had an opportunity to escape, right? They would actually jump boxes until they stopped getting shocked. But the group number two, which is that the puppies that would keep getting shocked no matter what they would do, they would actually stand down, and they would just stand there and whimper, and they would just sit there and whimper as they would get shocked, right? And it's a terrible experiment, right? It's like animal abuse and all this other stuff, right? But it demonstrates a point that is very contrary to a lot of like the new age, right? Like Earth is a school, right? Suffering makes you stronger, right? A lot of like the stuff that they have in like the mainstream Abrahamic religions that talk about that glorify suffering, right? And it contradicts that because it's this idea that like, oh, suffering makes you stronger, it builds character. It actually makes you obedient. It makes you stand down, right? And so unnecessary trauma, unnecessary suffering, right? Constantly going through trials and tribulations, right? That's actually a way that this hell realm, that this soul trap actually keeps people under control, right? It keeps people under control. It keeps people in a constant state of obedience, because yet again, it's learned helplessness, right? And instead of actually doing something about your situation, right? If you keep going through trials and tribulations, no matter what you do, you stand down, right? You learn helplessness. You learn to stand down, right? And one of the other things that I wanted to talk about was how people say suffering makes you stronger, but it actually makes you obedient for exactly this reason, right? And so basically, like yet again, like I say, in the mainstream religions and in like the new age, they talk about how Earth is a school for learning lessons, and how going through suffering or trials and tribulations makes you stronger, it builds character, when in fact it actually doesn't. It makes people stand down, it makes people learn helplessness, it makes people obedient to the system, not only on this level but on the next level, where you have like the tunnel of light, the false white light trap. It makes people obedient to these spirit guides, to these beings of light, or whatever these shape shifting entities are, that disguise themselves as authority figures, right? So you go through all these trials and tribulations and these traumas on Earth, and then once you leave the body, you go to the tunnel of light, you go through the life review, and they say that, oh, but you have to learn lessons, right? And you're taught, because of your experiences on Earth, you are taught that through all the traumas and through all the trials and tribulations that many people experience, right? You're sort of taught to stand down when you're faced with authority, right? Anytime you face a police officer, a doctor, a politician, right? Any government officials, right? We're subconsciously taught in this lifetime to stand down in the face of authority, right? To stand down in the face of, and to almost, and also it's a Stockholm syndrome of like basically trying to justify the existence of suffering instead of saying, oh, it's not something that should exist, right? Like all of this stuff that we have here on this planet, it shouldn't exist. People say like, oh, but that's just the way things are, right? That's the classic excuse that people give, like, oh, it's just the way things are. And they even take it a step further in the mainstream religion, where they say that oh, but suffering is actually good because it builds character, right? And they say, how is a child getting raped a good thing? How does that build character? It doesn't do anything at all. There's no good reason for it to exist. It's simply just evil, right? So same thing with like your girlfriend cheats on you, your children get raped, on private islands, right? Like all of this other stuff, right? It doesn't make any sense for that stuff to exist. But yet again, it's a Stockholm syndrome. We learn helplessness in this realm, and we feel like we don't have the power to change it, right? Because of the fact that we live in this sort of holographic, illusion, this simulation. We feel like we don't have the power to change it, and so people will try to actively justify it as a good thing, right? We feel like we don't have the power to change all of these, all of the evil that happens in this realm, and so that's where the learned helplessness comes in, where we just stand down and we accept like the quote unquote natural order, where you have animals ripping each other's organs out in order to survive. You have pedos running the world. You have low key, I mean, not low key Satanists, just literal Satanists and demon worshippers, people who are possessed, running this world. And we're just taught that, oh, but that's just the way things are. Like 2 more weeks, right? 2 more weeks, and God's gonna come down, Jesus is gonna come down, the aliens, right? Like this is like a thing with the New Age, like the aliens, the Pleiadian High Council, the Galactic Federation of Light. They're gonna come down. 2 more weeks, guys, until the disclosure, until the shift to 5D, right? But going back to the main point of this video, I just wanted to make just quickly reiterate this point, because I have an old video where I think the title is "Stop Worshipping Suffering." Right? Yet again, it's a cult. It's a cult of suffering. It's seeing suffering as a necessary thing, seeing it as a good thing, when in fact it's actually a tool that this prison planet, that this hell realm uses as a form of control. It's a weapon of control. It is a form of mind control. You look at MKUltra. You look at like the Monarch mind control, like the methods that they use in order to break people's minds, right? Like, I mean, just like basically what they do is they torture people until their mind is broken. It's breaking the person down to build them back up, right? And you see this all the time in this realm. Like that is mind control 101, is break the person down to build them back up. And this is one of the things that this realm uses, is they use suffering in and of itself to sort of break the person down to build them back up, to make them obedient. Yet again, suffering doesn't make you stronger. It makes you obedient. It makes you an obedient slave in this, in not only in this physical realm, but in the false white light, tunnel of light, reincarnation matrix that exists in the astral, right? So that's one thing that I wanted to say was to reiterate this point of suffering it's not necessary. Death is unnatural, pain is unnecessary. These are all distortions of the true prime reality, right? And so suffer is the nature of suffering. Yet again, when I say suffering, I mean like yet again children getting raped, animal abuse, human trafficking. I'm trying to think of like the worst of the worst to sort of illustrate my point, is that all of this stuff is actually not necessary. It's not something that you need. It doesn't make you stronger. You look at people who experience, like just look at the people in your life. You look at the people who have experienced the most trauma, right? That they're actually the most debilitated, and the people who are like the most held back in life. Like they can't interact with people. They have a high distrust of people. They're always paranoid. They have anxiety, and they most likely, to me, they have like entity attachments, where they have like constant loops of negative thoughts because of the trauma based mind control. That's fundamentally what this sort of yet again, this undertone that you see in religions, that you see in the New Age, this idea that, oh, it's about learning lessons, it's about you're going through all these unnecessary trials and tribulations. It makes you stronger as a person, right? But the reality is, right? I mean, let's put it this way: there's a difference between working out, right? Like you're tearing down you're tearing your muscles so they grow back stronger. There's a difference between that and tearing your ACL, let's say, right? So there is a difference between developing a tolerance to things in the world. There's a difference between that and just flat out yet again human trafficking, sexual abuse, all this other stuff, right? That doesn't need to exist. So stop trying to justify suffering. Suffering doesn't make you stronger. It is a tool that that demons use to create obedience. It is a tool of trauma-based mind control, and you will see this in yet again look into MKUltra, look into the way cults operate, the hazing rituals that they have in cults, right? Like what's the point of hazing? It is trauma-based mind control. It is breaking the person down to build them back up. It is making people learn helplessness so that they become obedient to whatever cult or whatever group or whatever religion or whatever false authority figures that are presented afterwards. So that is a basic thing that people need to get about this prison planet, about this hell realm, is that suffering, trauma-based mind control, hazing, whatever you want to call it, is not something good. It's not something that makes you stronger. It is a tool of mind control. It is trauma-based mind control, right? And if you understand that, you will understand why people are so easily controlled in this realm. You'll understand, why is it that, going through unnecessary trials and tribulations, like why is suffering something that is worshipped by so many people, is because of this, is because of that is, it's simply a program put in by the system to make people obedient, right? But yeah, that's the video.